The Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana or PMGKAY scheme introduced in 2020 was a flagship welfare program of the centre aimed at providing essential food grains to vulnerable sections of society during the pandemic. The scheme, which is an extension of the National Food Security Act 2013, targeted over 810 million beneficiaries to ensure access to adequate food supplies. The centre, under the PMGKAY scheme, provides 5 kg of free food grains per family member per month to the beneficiaries. This was in addition to the Antyodaya, Anna Yojana and priority household schemes, under which the card holders were entitled to 35 kgs of food grain at 1 to 3 rupees per kg under the National Food Security Act, provided to them through the public distribution system. But it all changed in December last year. The government approved an integration of food grain schemes of Antyodaya, Anna Yojana and priority households with the provision of the PMGKAY scheme for 2023. The move put an additional burden of 15,000 crore rupees in a year on the government's coffers and increased the total food subsidy burden to 2 lakh crore rupees. The government's spending on food subsidy in FY 2022 was nearly 2.9 lakh crore rupees, while for FY 23 the budget estimate for the subsidy was 2 lakh crore rupees. The revised estimate was pegged at 2.8 lakh crore rupees. For FY 24, the government has allocated 1,97,350 crore rupees, lower than the last fiscal. But economists believe this cost is set to rise. Out of the 1.9 lakh crore rupees, the centre has exhausted nearly 45% or 95,149 crore rupees till September. But what about its impact on India's overall fiscal position? The country's fiscal deficit for the first half of this year till September was at 7.02 lakh crore rupees. That's 39.3% of the annual estimate. The fiscal deficit had already widened from 37.3% in the comparable months of FY 23. In September, when the scheme was extended till December 2023, the Finance Ministry had also flagged concerns over the financial implications of the additional 44,762 crore rupees and said it did not support the move. However, N.R. Bhanumurthy of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar School of Economics, University, believes that the impact of the PMGKAY extension will be limited.
Fiscal implications of extending the PMGKAY for next 5 years is estimated to be very minimal. Both Finance Ministry and the government are very clear that extending this is not that expensive compared to what everybody felt, because the program is merged with the old National Food Security Act. So whatever the beneficiaries were paying, like 1 rupee or 2 rupee or 3 rupee kilo for the food grains, that is what is exempted. So to that extent, I think there are some calculations around. So the burden on the exchequer would be somewhere close to 10,000 to 12,000 crore per annum. One of the important SDG goals is nutrition. So I think if you want to achieve the 2030 goal, the small expenses of 10 to 12,000 crore per annum is not a big bill in my view.
Economists point out that the cost incurred by the Food Corporation of India to procure food grains is set to increase in the coming years, driven by food inflation and subsequent rise in the minimum support price to farmers. The centre collects approximately 1,250 crore rupees per month from beneficiaries for the sale of food grains, totaling around 75,000 crore rupees in the next 5 years. However, under the NFSA 2013, the central issue price for food grains and cereals has not changed. Consequently, there is a risk that the deficit in the government coffers may expand. Economists argue that finding a balance between fiscal responsibility and social welfare is imperative. Former Principal Economic Advisor to the Planning Commission, Pranab Sen, points out the challenges associated with public distribution system.
When you are talking about sort of anti-poverty programs, of which this is supposed to be a part, although it covers much more than just the poor, it mostly has to come through the budget. I don't think there's any escaping that. And that is perfectly legitimate. It's a part of any government's function to look after the deprived and the poor. The issue is this the right way of doing it? Are you targeting it properly? Which means how much are the leakages that are happening? But if you think about the alternative, which is if the government stopped giving subsidized food grains, then the government would have to sell that in the open market. So the government would get a lot more, but it would generally drive down the prices of food grains in the open market.
Extending the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana demands a nuanced evaluation of social and economic factors. Economists propose a more targeted approach for the welfare scheme to enhance its effectiveness in supporting the poor while maintaining fiscal prudence. Failure to do so could turn the well-intended scheme into a potential concern for the government, both financially and electorally.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.
He's moving from employee to employer. Business Standard.